Hello ladies, I hope you're doing well. I hope that life is treating you well and that you are heading into another fantastic week that you're going to love and enjoy and have a fantastic time and get everything that you're hoping to achieve this week. And I'm jumping in because today is Money Mindset Monday, and today I'm talking about problem solving. And it's a very interesting topic because it has huge ramifications on what you can achieve and your financial impacts and all those sorts of things. So there's plenty of studies around the benefits of problem solving, and I guess the financial planning industry is very much revolving around problem solving. But I think we didn't really need a lot of psychology studies and a lot of evidence to tell us that problem solving will have a positive impact on our finances. I think we kind of could figure that out. So rather than talking about that, what I wanted to discuss is some of the things that get in the way of our problem solving, because I think most of us have some really good skills around problem solving. Most of us have the capacity and the learnings, and if not, we certainly have the ability to strengthen that muscle around problem solving. And when it comes to what gets in the way, I think that we can work out how to move through to a place where you're well equipped to solve a problem, because a lot of the time I see problem solving going wrong, where decisions are made in the heat of the moment and not thoroughly thought through, or thought through as a result of a habit that's formed or a belief that we've picked up on, rather than accurate, thorough consideration. So a couple of things that get in the way, I'd say first of all is the messages that we've received around money and the beliefs that we've picked up, and that's where I do a lot of work around the money blueprint that we've established, whether that's we've received messages around bank balances and material possessions and the connection to our self-worth, whether we that's been clear or unclear having received those messages. Also having an over-giving relationship with money and taking care of others. All of those sorts of things can result in what we do with money. So I think it definitely helps to work through your financial past and your financial understandings and what you've learnt. But I think another thing that can get in the way is emotions around money. And, oftentimes I think the worst thing you can do in a point of stress is sit down and look at your finances, your bank balances, your superannuation balances or retirement fund balances, your share accounts. If you're in a state of panic, don't look at it, is my advice, if you can help it. I'm not giving you permission to avoid the situation. That's something entirely different. But I would say far better to come to have a look at it when you're in a more stable emotional state. So when it comes to emotions, how do you work through them? How do you get to a point where you're actually able to sit down and have a look at your finances and see how you can solve a problem? So as an example, a situation might be, say you have some goals or some plans or some budgets or forecasts around your revenue goals for the month, and you know that for your business to be in a good position, you need to have a certain amount of revenue coming in during the month. So that's fine, but imagine the situation where you realize you're not on track, where you're behind on those revenue targets and you know that there's going to be problems as a result. So you could start thinking about, oh my goodness, I have so much to do in order to achieve those revenue goals. You could be feeling overwhelmed and really focusing on the finer details. You could respond by trying to suppress those emotions and get on with things, and you could even try to avoid it. You might think, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll go down to Officeworks and I'll buy some paper and some planners, and I'll sit down and I'll plan things, and then you spend hours at Officeworks and don't actually really deal with the situation. So that's understandable, not necessarily helpful. So what I'd suggest is that there are some strategies to work through emotions to get you to a point where you can actually look at your numbers, because it's about checking into the wisest part of yourself rather than acting from a reactive place. So one thing is to work through reducing the intensity. So that can include deep breathing, muscle relaxation, all of those sorts of things that are going to help before you can get to any sort of action planning. Also, your relationship to the emotions. So it's entirely possible to not only sort of reduce the strength of the emotion over time, but also to accept that emotion, and whether you might include meditation, or you might include some mindfulness of both your emotion and what's required in the moment. You can maybe include some creativity, all of those sorts of things to allow the emotion to pass before looking at your financial situation. Also, having a different perspective. So, for example, if you went out to dinner last night and you've got a certain budget for what you spend on dinner, maybe something happened and you went over your planned budget and you're feeling really bad about it, you're feeling a bit down because this keeps happening, or it's a failure to plan ahead, whatever it is that you might be feeling down about it. That's okay to acknowledge that you didn't meet the expectations you have for yourself. You can also think about, well, that's not the only part of the situation. You can acknowledge that, well, you actually really enjoyed the meal. You had some good company while you're out. So it's sort of broadening the perspective of what's going on as well. So that's some of the work that can be done. Also, if this is an ongoing, recurring, stressful situation, then I'd encourage you to reach out for help, because sometimes it's not possible to get that outside, the wider perspective from what you know and the information you have. And it's far better to reach out and look at some things, whether it's money shame, and really bad interpretations about yourself as a result of struggles with money, or having difficulty really thinking through what you need to do to move ahead. Sometimes the best thing you can do is reach out for help. So I definitely encourage you to do that if you're struggling over the long term and you just can't seem to work through those emotions to get to a point where you can even begin to think about what some of the strategies might be to solve a problem. So if you do manage to get through to a point where you are okay, your emotions are settled, you're okay, you know your money blueprint, you have an understanding there, and still you're ready to work through some of the practical strategies and planning and action steps with making progress with solving some financial problems. So definitely looking down and working out exactly what you want to achieve over a certain period of time is a key to making sure that you get what you want. And then it's a matter of breaking it down, looking at the various options available and what might come up to prevent you getting through all of those action steps. Some other strategies might be also making cues. So, for example, so what a cue is it's when you're in a particular situation, you know that you will do a particular thing. So I do my own accounts as an example, and because I'm a CPA, not surprising. So what I do is I have in my email system, I'll have you can do this with Google, you can set it up with tasks. So when I open up my email accounts, I have a task there that says do your accounts. So I can set it up so my cue is when I open my emails, I know actually my first thing is not to check my emails. My first thing is to go through and clear out 3 transactions in my accounts. If I'm doing that every time I'm going into my emails, then I'm going to be on top of it, and it's a really easy thing to do to have it set up so that I am triggered to go and take that action that I need to take. So oftentimes it's working out what you need to do, breaking down the steps, and then setting cues or habits, working it out what will work for you to make sure that you take that regular action. Another thing that I think is really helpful and that I'm a huge fan of is actually tapping into your intuition. And what I love about intuition is that it's ungraspable in a way. You get the feeling, you have a gut feeling, you have a knowledge, it's an awareness, but it's not necessarily rational. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but you know it to be true. And this is particularly helpful when you have a couple of options that you're weighing up over what to do. So one thing you could do is you could take on some of those aspects of meditation, which I'm a huge fan of, where you do a little bit of deep breathing, breathe in and breathe out more slowly. Do that 3 times and then think through, okay, what are the options here? Say you're thinking up between, we'll keep it simple, 2 options. So you might think through, okay, so if I take option A, how does that feel? What do I think will happen? How would I connect in that situation? What do I think would be the likely outcome? I think it's getting in touch with the feeling around the option, and then put that aside and then think through option B. So think it through, imagine taking that option. What would be the environment? What would be the feelings? What would be the outcome? How does that sit with you? And then if there's another option, you can go through that. But being aware of your emotions around the different options can be a huge help in helping you decide between option A and option B, what you're going to do. So I'm definitely all for the rational thinking through the pros and cons. If you take step A, then what's step B going to be? How do we get there? What's potential obstacles? What do I need to know? Where can I get information? Absolutely all of the practical information seeking, information gathering and assessments, analytics, all of that, absolutely. I also am a believer in understanding how you feel about things and getting in touch with your own wisdom, because I think that we all have a lot more of that than we give ourselves credit for. and intuition. I actually really love the fact that you can't really explain it, because I think that too often we try to explain everything, and we're very uncomfortable with what can't be explained. We rely on our rational mind, and I think it's great to be okay with having an element of mystery to life. So that's it for me today. I absolutely wish you all the best, and I hope this has been helpful. I'd love to hear what you think about your problem solving, if there's any particular strategies that you use when you're emotional about a particular situation, and any other thoughts or questions you might have. And certainly, if you do find that your money blueprint is causing some issues, you have repeat behaviors that keep coming up, or repeat experiences, or even very, very strong emotions compared to the situation, or you need some help with the practical side, just working through it, then absolutely please reach out. That's what I'm here for, and I'm happy to help. So send me a DM, it's probably the best way, or a comment, and we can take it from there. And that's all for me today. Have a fantastic week. I wish you all the very best, and yeah, let's keep in touch. Bye for now.